Hello, guys. Welcome back. Today is Thursday, 27th of August. Apologies that I'm late. In my defense, technology hates me. So when I go to actually start the thing, it keeps on saying my camera is being used in another application. And I'm like, no, it's not. No, it's not. Thank you, but no, it's not though. And it wouldn't take no for an answer. So I just had to restart the entire system. Apologies. Hopefully you weren't waiting too long. Let me just now, in the process of that, it means nothing that I had prepared is currently open, but I just wanted to get on and not have you guys be waiting because that would be rude. So let me just check the Discord and make sure no one's anything. Cool. So what my plan today, we're going to do some speed work on physics. I've got a bunch of stuff downloaded, a bunch of papers downloaded that I'm going to have to reopen, but that's fine. And the plan is I found some AS physics papers. AS meaning it's done at the end of year 12, so it should hopefully not have stuff that's too wild and should hopefully still be on the syllabus for ESAT stuff. And it's got some multiple choice in it. So my plan is just I'm just in the mood for a bit of sprint work, guys. I'm kind of, we're getting to the end of summer. I'm a bit come on, let's get something fresh, get something new. And so I just need to shake things up. And I need to try my absolute hardest at something just to have some fun with it. So the plan is do some speed stuff. If we have enough time, I might pop over into the PAT test, or if you guys know of any good physics multiple choice stuff that you think is good for ESAT prep that would be okay for me to stream, that wouldn't have any IP issues, feel free to let me know in the chat. Yeah. I don't think I'm going to time this. I don't need to. I just need to sprint. I just need to go fast and show you what it's like to build up that muscle and importantly, analyze your results after the fact. So I'm going to have, yes, that's a good point. I should get the mark schemes at the ready. So is starting ESAT prep now too late? No, it's never too late. Because as well, think about this. ESAT should just be syllabus stuff. Right? There are loads of, because I'm in the agencies, I see the work coming through. There are loads of people who are only just starting the ESAT prep now. You're fine. What you got to do, make sure your syllabus is mastered, make sure your speed is there. That's it. Would senior physics challenge questions be helpful for the ESAT? I think they're probably too difficult, to be honest. I think ESAT is, so senior physics challenge is, actually, I don't know. I've never really done the senior physics challenge, but in general, I associate sort of Olympiad physics problems as being really, really difficult. And that's more stretching the front end of your ability, whereas ESAT is very much the back end, basic syllabus stuff, but just done as fast as humanly possible. Is it worth trying physics ESAT practice if it's not required? Not sure exactly what you mean by that. If you mean doing the past papers, I would always advise doing the past papers. If you mean paying for something, I wouldn't necessarily do that. There are some free resources like ESAT Lab that you can go in for, as in you don't have to pick it. Oh, right. If you don't have to do physics. Well, I suppose it depends, right? If you're going for Cambridge Natsky, for instance, and you want to be more of a chemist, I suppose you would have some freedom to go math, chemistry, for instance. But typically, a lot of the people that I see are applying elsewhere for so for instance, doubling up. So they're also doing imperial engineering. So engineering needs math, physics. So I haven't really seen anyone who has an option. Is ESAT Lab harder? I don't know that ESAT Lab is harder because in fairness, I haven't dug into it myself yet. I know it's different. So you can't necessarily calibrate right. So it doesn't necessarily track with what the ESAT is going to be. So for instance, I know I see some questions where I'm it's just not a good question. Just that's not what ESAT's like. And if you're ever getting stuck, what you should do if you're worried is that's the time to dip in and do a proper past paper. Because then you can calibrate against something that's real and then get some actual actionable information. Yeah, it's interesting. Not many people have a choice, and so when you do have a choice, actually having to make that choice is a really interesting dilemma. Oh, chat is popping up. I love to see it. Math 2 is crazy. Can confirm. You're saying you wouldn't really trust any score conversions on websites. They're never likely to be very accurate. I kind of agree with that. Like, it's a bit of a wild west out there when it comes to ESAT. Like, it's fairly new. Um, so you're stuck on 5.0 math on ESAT, losing motivation. What can you do to fix this? Well, what you can do to fix this is just do something different, right? So get really locked in with your process. What you can do is you can analyze where your mistakes are coming from. So typically there's three types of mistakes. There are conceptual issues where the solution to that is to really hit the detailed notes and make sure you're up to date on like everything that you need to know. There's there's execution errors where you knew what you were doing, but something just went wrong. The secret behind that is to practice as much speed work as you can to get a handle on what issues you're making, what mistakes you're making, and then kind of update your system. So like, okay, I did that because I skipped this step. So next time I do it, I need to do this, then this, then this. Try a few questions, lock in that new process, and then move on. Or you can have exam technique issues where you're misreading a question, like not fully getting down into it. So for instance, you get 90% of the way there, but it actually wanted you to go one extra step that you didn't read for. So that is just taking an extra few seconds to read the question before you carry on. So whatever your issue is, there is a solution for it. And as long as you believe that there's a solution for it, then there's something you can do about it. Then you get your motivation back. Also, you tell yourself that like wherever you end up in the end is probably the right place for you. So you want to go in and have a no regret strategy, saying like, this is who I am. This is how much work I'm willing to put in to get into the university. And so this is what I'm going to be able to do in order to maintain my work-life balance. Whatever I get, that means that's where I'm going to thrive the most. Great. So what that means is like even doing the prep for the ESAT is making you better at your sciences overall, making you more likely to get your offer for whatever offer you do get. And it's just going to raise your level. And then you'll know that you're at the best university you could possibly be, even if an offer doesn't come through. So even if it doesn't feel great, it's not like the options are do great in the ESAT or die. So go out there and discover what your best is. And then you know it's your best. And then you never have to regret and wonder what if. That was my pep talk. Thank you for coming. All right, what else is popping off here? How long should we aim to do TMUA paper 1 in to prep? TMUA paper 1, I mean, just do it to time, really. As long as you're hitting the time, you're fine. So I wouldn't aim to be doing it super, super quickly. Just as long as you're on time, maybe have a bit of extra to account for some extra stress time. Don't go wild. Just whatever they say, you can do that. Someone says they saw a bunch of combinatorics and weird number theory problems on ESAT Lab. Those you will not be seeing in a TMUA or an ESAT. That's what I mean. So, and I in my Discord, actually, some people are posting in the help section, like, oh, can you help me with this problem? And I just look at it and go, that's not representative. That's not representative. Don't worry about that one. It should feel more like, I don't know how to describe it, but you do get a sense of what an ESAT actually is. So an ESAT question has a very specific vibe, and a TMUA question has a very specific vibe, and you just learn quickly when things do or do not have that vibe. Which is another reason why I think these extra outside resources are not necessarily the best, but also you don't really have a choice because they're not releasing new papers because they're deeply unhelpful human beings. So but everyone's in the same boat as you, so don't worry about that. So the best papers are obviously, the best resources are the actual past papers. Everything else is supplemental. That's you doing your practice runs ready for the real thing. So everything is prepping to do your mocks, basically. And that's how you should think about it. Do I know anything about a general interview at Cambridge for NatSci? There's one college saying they'll give 1 or 2 subject interviews and a general interview. No, general interviews are quite peculiar to get at Cambridge, actually. Most of them are just technical interviews. So a general interview might be something like, why this subject, why this course, why Cambridge, why this college. They don't really do them that much. But when they say general, what they could mean, for instance, if you're going for NATSCI, in your 2 subject interviews, like for NATSCI for me, my first one was what I would kind of call a general interview. But by general, it wasn't like, why do you want to do science? It was more, how is your general mathematical and scientific basis? So I was being asked lots of questions to test my breadth of knowledge across math and physics and material science. And then my subject-specific interview was a much more detailed chemistry interview. So maybe that's what they mean. So again, it's really difficult to prepare specifically for an interview, but maybe you'll get more advice closer to the time. I wouldn't worry about it because either way, you're going to be as prepared as you possibly can be for your subject interview. And that can, I suppose what you should really be doing as well, if you have a general interview, is make sure you're very up on your personal statement. But that's a general rule across the board. If you have a technical term in the personal statement, you're inviting them to ask you about it. So for me, I mean, it was slightly different. It was my Imperial interview, but I had mentioned the phrase Heisenberg's uncertainty principle in my personal statement. And the entire basis of my Imperial interview was Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. So if you write something, you're inviting yourself to be asked about it. And so, especially if you do have a general interview, just making sure you're really up to date on your personal statement. I think I would advise that. If they replace a subject interview with you say that a general interview can sometimes be harder to prep for because you don't know exactly what they're going to ask. Imperial interview. This was for, what did I apply for? Was it chemistry with physics? Maybe was it physics with? I don't, guys. This was 2012. I do not know. I have no idea. Physics. I'm not sure it was physics, or maybe it's changed over the years. But whatever I applied for, I definitely had an Imperial interview, which was actually kind of nice because that was before my Cambridge one, so it acted as a kind of warm-up one. Should you do interview prep at the moment too? Only focus on the ESAT for now. I think it's a tricky one. It's up to you is the honest answer. Like because what the preparing for an interview is going to do is it's going to raise your level. So it's going to test that front end. So by the time you get to the ESAT, it's going to feel easier. So there's that indirect benefit, although you obviously don't get the direct benefit of preparing for specifically those types of questions and that type of test dynamic. So it's really kind of up to you. I would say whenever you're doing a university entrance campaign, you're going for a no regret strategy. So you want to never be thinking, what if I had done this? So on the one hand, you don't want to be looking back and thinking, if I had prepped for the interview more, maybe I would have been fine. But equally, you don't want to look back and think, oh, if I had spent that interview prep time actually prepping for the ESAT, maybe I would have got in. So you just need to kind of ask yourself really honestly what your biggest sort of insecurity is, for want of a better word, when it comes to like the preparation process and what you can do to mitigate that risk. So it's just regret avoidance. That's I think your number one priority in this. Planning on doing interview work every other day? Yeah, I mean something like that. If you can think of it in terms of, because it's both, right? Like, because you're right that if you're just preparing for the ESAT, but then you're not really, you do have quite a while before interviews though. They've been getting later and later. Like I swear they're now like mid-December when they used to be beginning of December. So you do have a bit of time before the interview. So play it by ear. If you find that you need to do it just to manage your own anxiety about the process, then you need to do it and you should do it. But it's not like there's a sort of, let me put it this way, there's nothing I can say that's going to be true for everybody. So it's going to be a specific thing for you. Do you know what topics are tested on the ESAT that isn't tested on the NSA and ENGA? No, the ESAT is the NSA and ENGA just combined to create the ESAT. Syllabus-wise, there was no change. So it should be doing the NSAAs and the ENGAs should be a complete, perfect preparation, although the test format is ever so slightly different. You're saying you were part of the latest application cycle, and your lecture really helped you a lot. Oh, thank you very much, sir. Glad to have helped. Didn't get into Cambridge, but you got into Imperial for electrical engineering. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. And what that means, I always say with Cambridge, like whatever they say, you say thank you. Because what that typically means is that's the type of learning they try and put you through might not have been like the best for the way your brain works. So maybe Imperial is exactly where you need to be. And if you like, maybe the choice for you was like, feel like a midline Cambridge student versus now feeling like you're like, oh, I'm like top third at Imperial. I'm feeling really good and really confident. And that confidence builds you through the entire degree, launches you out into the world. And so like, hey, just focus on now you're on your path. Do the best on the path you're on. That's my advice. Might not go though, unfortunately, depending on whether you're given a scholarship. Maybe doing medicine in Ireland instead. Interesting. Interesting. Engineering in Imperial versus medicine in Ireland. See, this is the weird thing about picking your life path so early. That's very interesting. I remember you. I remember you. Yeah, you were in my inbox, I think. Did we do a mock interview, maybe? We talked about it. I remember you. Okay. Yeah, no. Good to know that you at least got the Imperial. Like, to get anything out of an ESAT process is really interesting. But it's even so interesting that you applied for medicine while also applying for engineering. People have interesting interests. I'm interested in people's interests. And it's weird. You do get some people who like actually do medicine, but then actually don't go on to be doctors and just do it for a degree. So it doesn't necessarily lock you permanently into a life path you don't want. Right, am I missing anything else? By the way, interviews won't expect knowledge of year 13 topics. Correct. They are, in fact, I would think that the interview topics should be exactly the same as the ESAT topics. So if you're mastered the ESAT spec, you should be fine for the interview, with maybe some exceptions. I think they might be leaning a bit more into circular motion, perhaps. Like, but if you know it, really deeply know it, is my advice. Okay, we were on email basis. Yes, I do remember you though. What are my thoughts on TMUA paper 1 for ESAT prep? I like it. I like it for Math 2. It's not bad for Math 2. There's a point where the questions start getting a little too deep for a Math 2, but it does stretch your ability, right? So in order to not burn through past papers, I like it for Math 2 prep because it is actually legitimately of an Oxbridge entrance standard as opposed to some of these weird questions you get on some of these websites. So I actually do think there is some utility to it, especially the earlier, easier questions. Oh, interesting. Engineering is kind of a dying industry in a country, apparently. Lots of oil and gas companies leaving. Interesting. Yeah, honestly, like, and this is, you're kind of, I really like this metaphor, right? So you kind of, if any of you know chess, and I imagine it's non-zero, let's put it this way, the people who are here who also know chess. You talk about like the opening, and then you have the mid game, and then you have the end game. And so like you have the opening where it's like, it is kind of like you going through school. It's like, oh, these are the subjects. You go along these paths. These are some known routes. And eventually you get to the point where you start making moves that no one else has made before. And this is the start of you entering that middle game, right? Where like officially you're kind of like having to work it out from first principles. Like there's not a sort of pre-learned strategy you have to employ. You kind of just got to like look at the position on the board and make the best decision for you. And it gets much harder to get specific advice, or rather it's much harder to get general advice because it's not going to apply the same to everyone. So it's just, yeah, make the best decision you can with the information you have. And then it's probably the right one. And again, regret mitigation is the aim of the game here. Someone saying, should I aim to complete ENGA NSAA questions in reduced time, e.g. a minute? I think you'll find that 90 seconds is quite enough. 90 seconds is quite fast enough. Thank you very much. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily do that, because also it might ruin your sense of pacing. So let's say you get into the real thing and then you start going, but you're not hitting your 1 minute pace, and then you think you're going slowly, and then you think it's going badly. I'd rather you be calibrated to know exactly what your pace feels like. So if you're over that, then you know you're supposed to skip and make it a second pass question. What if you can't even finish reading the question in a minute? That's when you skip the question. So a first pass question is your low hanging fruit. That's where you read it quickly, you know what to do, you know it's going to work, you know you're going to get it right, and you can do it quick, like in time. So that is a first pass question. If it's not a first pass, you skip it, you go to you just leave it for the second pass. What content would we need to know for Oxbridge Imperial interviews? So it's different for both. Oxbridge is more syllabus based, it's more general, where it's less personal statement based, and it's really on the deep principles of your syllabus material. So rather than doing a quick surface calculation, you're really digging into the why as you go all the way down. Do you really understand how this works? Because they want to check to make sure your knowledge and the application of your knowledge is good enough to handle being thrown into a completely unfamiliar situation, making sense of it yourself, and getting into a solution yourself without having to be spoon-fed or pulled through. Imperial, however, is much more personal statement based, especially for engineering. It's going to be very much about your projects. Like I say, my interview was extremely based on my personal statement. And so I would expect that to be the main difference. It doesn't mean that you can't get general interview questions at Imperial, but it means that I would just, on average, expect it to be more personalized. Plus, you do further maths. So would I be expected to know all of my further math content, or would everything be normal A level? I think it's tricky that. I think if there is something in further math that can help you in your normal math and in your interview, you should be up to speed on that. So I'm thinking, for instance, let's say not even just the further math, but if you've done further math, which means you're ahead of the math syllabus, so you've already done the second year content, so you know things like the double angle formula, that can be useful. So I would say yes, make sure you're fully mastered on anything you've declared, because you're applying with your subjects, and you do your supplemental questionnaire where you tell them what modules you've done. So they know what you should be prepped in. So they know if they ask you a question on it, they would be expecting you to have the syllabus mastered. So I think belt and braces, I would master all of that. Is ESAT known to be harder than NSAA and ENGA? It should be exactly the same, although I am told it has got harder in recent years. ESAT people, get ready for your hands to be stained with marker ink for like a week after your test. It's a weird system. It's a really weird system. How they do that. Like, okay. So on ESAT Lab, there were like some ridiculously weird questions that aren't similar to anything you've seen on NSAA or ENGA. Yeah, that's kind of how it works. But where the benefit of ESAT Lab is the volume of questions. It's not necessarily the case that all of those questions will be perfectly calibrated, but it means the ones that are a good fit are a really good fit. Are these worth practicing a lot? Because I've been stressing out because I can't do them. ESAT Lab is not something to stress about. It is something to feel good about. So if you're hitting the questions, you're like, oh, this is going well, that's knowledge that you're able to do good questions in time accurately. So that's positive information. The negative information of I can't do this question is not necessarily meaningful because the questions aren't necessarily calibrated. So in other words, don't do ESAT Labs to feel bad about yourself. It's only upside, it's only positive. The actual meaning comes from doing past papers. Do they give you whiteboard and marker and rubber? It's not, it's a weird like flip book where you have like 10 pages and they're like laminated, and they do give you a marker, which you can do that, but you can't rub it out. which means that if you run out of space, you have to raise your hand and get a new flip book, and everyone always runs out. But you can't request a new flip book until you've run out of the first one. But if you sit there and like, oh no, I've run out, and then you have to hold your hand up, you're wasting seconds. So you have to realize when you're running out and then raise your hand while you're working. It's like a whole mess. It's bad. Yeah, laminated square paper, 3 pieces apparently, thin marker and a ton of tissue paper. Oh. I'm not sure that's typical though. I think flip books are what I hear most of all in the UK system. What's a good raw mark to aim for? I think anything that is 70% up, because bear in mind, this is entrance to university. And in university, 70% is a first. So I'd expect them to have their entrance test calibrated to roughly the same level. So if you're getting 14 out of 20, you're doing really well. 12 out of 20 is also still good. And by the way, that's important because it's much lower than what feels good in your normal classroom setting. So it's just something to bear in mind. Yeah, you're right. They've expanded the bank of ESAT resources, but the challenge still remains that not all their ESAT resources are good. Just because they exist does not mean they're great. Sorry, I'm thinking out of 20. You're right, I didn't say out of 27. That's a good point. So 14 out of 20 or 12 out of 20 are kind of considered to be good. What would be 70% of the 27? So like 19. So 19 out of 27, you know you're feeling good about yourself. 17 out of 27 is still good. Kind of scared it's not going to be very representative. Everyone's in the same boat. And everyone's in the same boat when it comes to prep materials, and everyone's in the same boat where you do still have past papers going back to 2016 to get a sense. Like I didn't sit the ESAT when I was applying. The reason why I know what an ESAT question feels like is because I've done lots of ESAT papers. So you get a vibe. And the papers they have released are enough for you to get that vibe. They're all paid, right? Not all the resources are paid, actually. I've heard of ESAT Lab, which is free. And that's new. That came across my sort of, I would say, desk. It's a student started using it this year and brought it to my attention. I was like, oh, wow, that exists. Just reading the comments. Yeah, just do past papers. There was another good video you saw on ESAT advice. Great. I don't know you. Get all the help and advice you can get. And then come back and tell me how to get better at it. If you say a question you instantly know you can't solve, is it okay to just guess it and then move on? Yes, that's exactly what you should do. And then spend the time on questions we know we can do instead. Absolutely. There's just so many mathsy admin tests out there. Yes, there are. Right, it looks like I'm caught up on the chat. So what I think I should do now, let's get into what I actually said I was going to do half an hour ago. And get in some of some of this physics speed training. But I love the chat. Like, I love when a bunch of you show up and we get to sort of like chat it out. Because I'm like, oh, I'm actually being directly helpful to live humans. Can you imagine? So I'm plopping you guys over here. Let me get the papers ready to go. Again, so what I'm likely to do is just get a bit of a sprint on. I'm not going to time it, and I'm going to ignore the chat while I do it. I'll let you know whether I think a question is relevant based on, like I say, getting a sense of what feels like ESAT and what's not. Oh, hang on a minute. No, this is helpful in the chat. I can actually help with this. Is the ESAT in this the same for each person in each batch, though? I think it is, but it is different between the different batches. So they do have a big question bank, more questions than they need. They do pull 27 out to give to people, but it's not that, like, for instance, if you're sitting at the same time as someone next to you, they're not going to have 27 different questions. I think they are going to have the same questions as you, but the different batches each have different tests, so it can be somewhat standardized. You don't want it to be based on bad luck, right? So you want to be able to compare against other students who got the same questions to make it somewhat standardized. And you're right, that is why they don't release new papers anymore, is because there is no such thing as the paper that everyone sat. Everyone sat different papers. Oh, great. This is why we have chat, guys. Have you read the ESAT technical report? It's on the UAT website and gives you lots of interesting information about the test. No, I have not. Common question. Is it good to pick a course based on what ESATs you're good at or not? No. You pick a course based on what you want to study for 3-4 years. Like, because you want that to also, like, if you're letting your decision be made by those external factors, it just feels like a weak position to be starting from. So I wouldn't recommend that. Okay, I'm now super curious about this ESAT technical report on the UAT website. So actually, I'm going to slightly delay the start of this physics. Hold on a minute. UAT ESAT technical report. Let's get some live reporting on this. Annual reports, technical report for the ESAT from, let's do ESAT last year. What's in here? So to show you guys, in fact, let me move you guys over here. Window, let's do that maybe. Yeah, this is what we're looking at. So this is pulled from the UAT website. Let me kind of get in here and see what we got. So executive summary, introduction, test design and measurement approach. Yes, this is exactly what I want. Results, gonna be less interested in that for now. Access arrangements, test analysis will be very interesting. Yeah, let's get into this. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. Executive summary, is this interesting? This is not interesting. Okay, so introduction. I know what this means. Right, test design. Oh, we know this. Okay, so items, which I'm guessing means questions. So questions are calibrated using an item response theory model at the end of each event window. So the item response theory is a theoretical framework that models test responses resulting from an interaction between candidates and the questions. The advantage of using that model in scaling is that all items measuring performance in one latent trait can be placed on the same scale of difficulty set using the initial item analysis. I have no idea what that means. So for each model, they use it, okay. So the probability of a candidate answering a question correctly is a function of the question difficulty and a candidate's ability. Correct. Okay, so they came up with a thing. During the calibration process, the parameters are not fixed. So what does this mean? So yeah, it means y'all are getting different questions, is what that means. So the raw score a candidate achieves on a module is a function of both candidate ability and question difficulties, correct? If there are multiple forms of a test, that's going to lead to small differences in difficulty across the forms, despite the best attempts of the chairs to make the forms comparable, correct? In order to treat them fairly, these difficulty differences are removed through equating, which places all candidates onto a single. So in other words, they know what questions you sat and they know how those difficulties are scaled. So they do try and standardize it across that. Okay. So they don't receive an immediate score. This has many advantages, including allowing the use of unpretested operational questions in the test. I don't know what that means. Hmm. Oh, damn. So this shows you how they roughly how they score it. So it looks like the scaled score is done based on percentiles. So the median person will get a 4.5, and the 90th percentile is a 7. So if you're getting a 7 plus, you're in the top 10%, which is obviously really good. I don't know what this means. Test results are uninteresting to me. Wow. So 74% of the people taking it do Math 1, Math 2 Phys. That's bonkers. So it means you're all pretty much in the same boat. So now, interestingly, I do see that scores are overall down in January compared to October, which is somewhat interesting. Someone asked, why don't we get our scores back straight away like you can? Well, let's. They did discuss this actually. So this one. So they say there are some advantages to this, including allowing the use of unpretested operational items in the test and being able to generate a scaled score based on the observed candidate population as opposed to a benchmark population. So, right. So I think what that means is, let's think about this. So let's say you sit on, because it's done over multiple days. Let's say you sit on the first day in the first sitting at 8 a.m. No other scores have come in, so then you can't standardize against everyone who took it in the October setting. So I'm guessing you need to wait at least a little bit of time so that you can be compared, because you don't sit the same paper as everyone else. So your absolute score doesn't mean the same thing without weighting and calibration, which can only come in when they collected all the results, not just yours. So that's why they wait a bit. So you're right, because they have to scale it. Let me just like check on the chat. How are we doing? This report is higher than the ESAT. Oh, it's technical. It's you get used to reading these. So these were the actual results. What else did I say was going to be interesting? So item performance. I do want to see that. So let's look at, for instance, page 41. So that's getting right to the end. So here. I don't know what this means. I think items means questions. Okay, so basically they just said, congratulations, we did good. Great, love that for you. Oh, thank you. Test timing analysis. Where was that? Test timing analysis, page 34. Thank you very much. See, chat, pulling me through. Love to see it. Page 34. Where's 34? Okay, so the module time for each candidate is calculated by summing the question and review time for each question and candidate. Okay. So there's 40 minutes per module. Okay. So there's access arrangements. Over 90% of candidates use between 35 and 40. I don't understand. If you're finishing in 35 minutes, why are you not using that time to check? Yeah, people are using every second in this. Yeah, using absolutely all of the time. The median person had 1 second to spare in physics. That is insane. I'm guessing lucky if you're the person who got given an extra 2 seconds. Wait, what? Oh, so these people just quit. These people just noped their way all the way out. So that's why would you do that? Hold on, let me why would you be this person to just like go in there and just nope your way out? Why bother paying? Like what is that's sorry, that's standard deviation. But these guys, this minimum. God, at least the biologist tried. Like what? Oh, no. Okay, no, the physics, I don't understand. Maybe this person legit didn't stick around for the physics because you do the math one, then the math two, then the physics. This was someone having a very bad day and just rage quitting on everything. You can't even get that in 6 seconds. I think these 1 minute 42 and then 1 minute 41, I think there's a non-zero chance this was someone like me, an adult, a tutor who was going in to check how it all works, who was like, all right, how does the flipboard work? How do the questions work? And kind of just like click through just to see how the system works and then noped out. You see, data tells the story. I want to know these people. I want to talk to these people. So that's the possibility for the min is someone just sort of cheating the system. Wow. But yeah, no, you totally hear about that. You hear about tutors and people who are prepping for the ESAT who actually submit and sit the ESAT, so they actually have some like sort of lived experience, if you will, about like what it's like to go through it. But still, actually sit down and do the test. Don't quit after 142. Do you know what that is? That's someone going, can't do that next, can't do that next, can't do that next, can't do that next, getting us to the end and going, well, guess that's me done. Am I going to sit the ESAT? No, sir, I am not. There's a very good reason why. I am based in London. London is super oversubscribed when it comes to ESAT sittings. So a lot of my London-based students have to like scramble to get like 8 a.m. bookings in Basildon. So given how in demand it is, I wouldn't feel comfortable taking an ESAT place from an actual student who actually needs to sit the test to get in and advance their future. I wish other people felt the same. So they academically press the finish button. Oh, so they accidentally press the finish button and confirms finished on accident. I don't think it works like that, though. Does it? I mean, you know better than I do. You've actually said it. But I don't think there's just a finish button sitting there because, like, I've done on this channel actually. I've done the live solve on the UAT interface, and you have to like get all the way to the end and then do the navigator and then get to the final question and then confirm you want to quit. Like, I don't think it's. Oh, you're kidding. Great. Well, you may be kidding, but the other calm down. The other people haven't sat it yet. You'll scare the children. No, everyone, he's joking. There's no such thing. You don't just get to press a button and accidentally ruin your future. You're fine. You're fine. You get the point of a joke is people have to be in on it. Like other people did not have that information, man. Oh, okay, no, okay, everyone's fine. Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, chat can chat about that, like how difficult, because we got someone in who actually sat the ESAT last year. Yeah, you'd guess about similar to the NSAA and the ANGA. So like NSAA ANGA, because it's meant to be the same paper testing the same students for the same courses. So I really would expect it to stay the same. So that was a nice little detour. That's fascinating. But basically, if you're struggling to finish, you and everyone else. But I imagine a lot of these people are just using every available second. So guessing at the end or going back to check some of their work, like just, you know, doing the best I can. You see, okay, now this is an interesting question. Someone says, based on the weighting, someone getting a raw score of 20 out of 27 on easy questions can still just get a 4.5. I don't think so, because I think the point of this item analysis or the test design. Let's go back to the test design on page 6. So the way it works is this item response theory model. So I think what they do is they give everyone a set of questions, based on how you do in those questions. Like if you're like sucking, then they'll feed you easy questions to say, please just get some of these. And if you're like smashing it, they're like, all right, bet, and they throw you harder ones. Is what I'm getting from this. So, and there's like, we could probably get really into the weeds about like how they calculate it. I'm not planning on doing that because this is me just sort of live reacting to it on the spot. But this is what the nerds are doing. The nerds are doing all of this to calibrate and make sure that you're getting a test which demonstrates your actual ability. So I don't think let me put it this way. If you were capable of getting 20 out of 27, oh wait, now I take your no, because if you were getting 20 out of 27, you would be sort of bumped up a set and you wouldn't be seeing only the easy questions. That would get you, I just don't think it's possible you can get 20 out of 27 and get a 4.5. So you can skip through the first run to get easy questions, then come back to do them all. That is not what I said, for the record. For the record. But this is what I don't understand. This is why I kind of would like to get in there and do an ESAT, because like I understand it that there's a navigator in the bottom right where you should be able to navigate between the questions. You're saying, I think they decide all 27 questions before you start. Yeah, that's what I thought. But then we're looking at this, whatever this is. Oh, let me go back. Maybe I'm misunderstanding this. I don't want to. What does this mean? Because I think that's what I thought. I thought for each set, everyone got the same 27 questions. But this, and test form difficulty, which is not the same among all the students. I'd be so fascinated to get into this, actually. I don't know the answer yet. Oh, no, maybe I'm misunderstanding this. Guys, I think I might be misunderstanding this. Maybe? I think what they're saying is, I think this is how they're trying to make it so that the different people sitting the test on different days get similar difficulties. So let me interpret this sentence. So the advantage of using models and scaling is that all items measuring performance in one latent trait. So let's say they really want to test your ability to do an optimization problem where you differentiate and set to 0. They're not going to have everyone sit the same optimization questions. Let's say they have different optimization questions, but they want to do it so it's like placed on the same level of difficulty. Placing items on the same scale across years facilitates the creation of equivalent forms each year. So my guess is they knew they were able to calibrate based on the the NSAA and ENGA from going back to 2016. They knew what percentages of students got each question right and used that to calibrate it. I think that's what I'm getting here, as opposed to an SAT dynamic model. I do still think that when you sit down, your 27 questions are set in stone. Variations on the same question and pick one of the variations and repeat. Okay. Oh, chat's been chatting. Mention how there wasn't enough time and they wanted to make the questions a bit easier. Okay. Is that between modules? Blah, 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 chat. Yeah, okay. So, okay. given that there is a navigator in the bottom right, and given that you could, in theory, cycle through all the questions before you submit a single answer, it obviously makes sense, therefore, that it's not the sort of same dynamic model. You're quite right, where it's not sort of seeing how well you're doing and then adjusting the difficulty accordingly. Apologize for the misinformation. Your 27 questions are are set in stone by the time you sit down to take the paper. So when you sit down, you can cycle through them all. Your questions are set. I think if we get too much into the weeds, it actually becomes unhelpful because ultimately it doesn't affect your strategy, which is to do your best. Hold on a minute. Is sitting in January easier than because most high achieving candidates do it in October? No, I think it's the same difficulty, which is why they score worse. So you know, because you're not sort of done relative to the. So for instance, you're not scored relative to all your other January sittings of people. You're scored relative to everyone. So I don't think it actually matters. Basically, I think in conclusion, we don't really know what they're doing behind the scenes, and I think that's okay. I think what we need to know is how we're going to go about this, because ultimately, how they set the paper does not impact what you do. It impacts what they do, doesn't impact what you do. You're going to sit down and do your absolute best. So how do you get there? And that's where I think ultimately just going, the test is going to be the test. Let me be prepared for every situation is the best way forward. That's good. Yep. Less prep equals worse score. And that's science. So speaking of prep, I think it's finally time, an hour in to at least my intended start time, to actually get done some of the work I'd intended to do when I sat down today. Can you imagine? But I really wanted to see that report. So like, sue me. So, all right, what I'm going to do, let's start sharing this other window. This one, yes. Right, I'm in the mood for some speed work. I hope you're in the mood for some speed work. So it seems like there's a lot of multiple choice here. Let's see me do a 9-minute GCSE paper. Well, I was going to do a 9-minute GCSE paper, but someone wanted physics, and that was a decent request because I've not done any speed physics multiple choice on the channel. I actually, if you want to send me exactly what paper you got that 9-minute run in, bring it. And I'll get my excuses in early that I'm trying to like explain it out loud. You're right. The people, I want to see it. I want to see the 9-minute question, the 9-minute paper. If you send me guys, this is a public challenge has been laid down. Someone said they did a very specific GCSE paper in 9 minutes. If you can send me that paper, I promise you I will solve it live. Maybe not like this live, but I will definitely do it. Okay, right. In the meantime, let me warm this up. Okay, so ready, let's go. So graph of neutron number against, oh, why can't I draw? No. Boo. Hold on a minute. Why? That defeats the entire purpose, and this is all it waits. Oh, you see, this is why I should check things before I start streaming, guys. All right, what do I do? I'm going to pivot. I'm going to go back to... Yeah, I know it's copyright, but still, it's a past paper. You should be able to annotate a past paper. I don't have that problem on any of my other ones. Hold on a minute. So let me find... So I'm going to get the stuff on... No, I don't want paper 1. Paper 2. If I download it from here, does that work? So apologies for me doing a tech. See, that works. I can annotate that. It's just the website I downloaded them from. Boo. No. Oh, I just want to delete stuff. No. All right. Guys, I'm fighting tech. Chat. Okay, I'm gonna pop you guys over here so I can still see the chat. I'm gonna download this stuff so I can actually do this stuff. But this is going to take some time. Oh, do you know what? I'm just gonna have to do it paper by paper. Get it up on PMT, then you can draw on it. Yeah, but I like to download it because then I can do it in Thingy, which has better annotation in my personal humble opinion. Oh, what? Right, well, 2016 allows me to draw on it for some reason, and none of the others do, so I'm going to at least do this, and then we can talk about it. So, ESAT spec is closer to GCSE. Yeah, but GCSE doesn't have good multiple choice, and I'd rather practice it in the style in which I'm going to do it. Let's go! So, which following series of emissions would result in an isotope of the original element? Isotope means same number of protons. So no, you would lose 2 and get 1 back. This would, because you would lose 2, get 2 back. Done. Which equation shows the process of annihilation? Not on the spec. Not many quarks, not on the spec. Not on the spec. Not on the spec. I don't think this is on the spec either. Guys, this might have been a bad idea. Oh, this is a terrible idea because it's sharing sideways. Why is it sideways? What? 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 Guys, I'm so bad at tag. Why? It is perfectly the right way up on my screen. Guys, why do I do this? I don't know why I do this. Just rotate my... This makes no sense. Hold on, let me share the screen instead. There you go. What? That made... Oh. All right, well... GG's, it's so over. Yeah, you're kind of right about that. This is not spec. That's not spec. That's spec. Hold on a minute. So, I think this is spec. Progressive wave frequency that. So V equals F lambda. Lambda equals speed over frequency. And this is not non-calculator. Jesus. All right, guys, I came into this with good. This is how you know it's live. This is how you know it's live. Because you actually do need a calculator for this, and it's 1.29, basically. We'll call it 1.3. Divide that by 0.1. So lambda's that. Oh, it's a progressive wave. So it's 0. The phase difference would be 0. That, oh, how much of that fraction of 2 pi Dude, guys, I'm pressing the buttons badly. 0.16 over 1.29. 1.29 times 2 pi. It is roughly quarter pi, so C. Am I doing something atrociously wrong? Do a bus stop, coward. All right. Harmonics. Don't think this is spec. Whatever. Frequency in the first harmonic. Definitely not in the spec. Tension in the wire, that's AQA spec only. I don't know diffraction gratings on the spec. Diffraction grating experiment maxima produced on the screen. Separation decrease. So we want longer wavelength would make it increase. And lambda equals d sine theta for diffraction grating. So we want theta to increase. No, we want theta to decrease. Greatest slit separation, yes. White light passing through a narrow slit eliminates the screen. A central maximum is white, and then colored fringes on the outside. Yeah. Total internal reflection, definitely spec. Angle of incidence, total internal reflection occurs. It's going from more dense to less dense. Yep. What is the speed of light? So n equals C over V. So V equals 3 times 10 to the 8 all over 1.42. So it's going to be roughly 2 point something. And we're dividing by something smaller than that. So it's going to be bigger than that. So it's going to be B. Scalar quantity is power. Here we go. This is okay. So which of the following is the corresponding acceleration time graph? So the acceleration is large and getting smaller and going to 0. So that is B, because it's the gradient. Girl jogs. There we go. This is better. 2 meters per second in a straight line for 30 seconds. So it travels 60, turns around and returns to a start point 20 seconds later. So that's 3 meters per second back. Her average velocity is 0. Her average speed is 120 over 50, blah, blah, 2.4. So 0, 2.4, done. Golf ball hit from the surface of the moon. Time of flight is 4 seconds. Max height reached. So v squared equals u squared plus 2as. V is 0. U is... that's the one we don't have. S equals VT minus a half AT squared, where V is 0. Am I getting this just terribly wrong? Oh no, the time of flight is 4 seconds. That means it reaches the maximum height after 2 seconds. Guys, this is not, tell you what this is. This is not a 9-minute solve is what this is. So T equals 2 seconds to reach maximum height. SUVAT. A is minus 1.6. V is 0. T is 2. S is VT minus a half. Yeah. VT minus a half A T squared. So it's 3.2 there. Deep space probe traveling forward at constant speed, acted briefly on by a force at right angles to its motion. So the speed is unchanged. Oh. Gonna go with that. The mass of fuel in a racing car decreases during a race. As a result, the lap time decreases. Oh. I'm going to go with the accelerations because, yeah. What is represented by the area under a force displacement graph? That's force times distance, which is energy, so work done. Which of the following is not a unit of power? Joules per second. Oh, joule seconds is not a unit of power. Done. Roller coaster rises to a height of 65, released from rest. Max possible speed. MGH equals a half MV squared. Cancels, cancels. V equals root 2GH. 2 times 65 times 9.81. Because we're going to need a calculator for this. Root of 2 times 65 times 9.81. 35, that one. Test a car of that. Traveling at that hits a wall. We know it's momentum. The front that is brought to rest. Average force. Work done is force times distance. Work done is, okay, so half mv squared. So the kinetic energy goes into the force times the distance moved, the crumpliness of it. So the average force is going to be mv squared that. So you can see just taking a couple of seconds to think about the optimal route is what I'm doing here to try and get it right. 83,000, that one. We got a current in the wire. How many electrons pass in 2 minutes? Okay, so that current is charge over time, which is NE over time So n is equal to IT over E is 20 times 10 to the minus 3 times 120 seconds, all over 1.6 times 10 to the minus 19. Guys, I can see that your chat ain't popping off, chat. I'm gonna have you're giving me a lot to catch up on when I'm done with this. I hope it's not like how ridiculously I'm doing in this. 1.5 times 10 to the 19. Okay, so which is a characteristic for the combination of the resistor and the diode? It's coming out of here. I think diodes, you need to put a little bit in before it really starts to pop. So I'm going to go with A. Just based on the IV characteristics. Cell C of negligible resistance and switcher connected with series R. Switch is moved on position. What change reduces the amount of charge flowing through in time t? So what change? So I equals V over R, and we want that to reduce. Okay. Particular transmission line delivers that at that to the user. It loses 1%. What's the resistance of the transmission line? So it loses 8 megawatts is the heating power. So 8 times 10 to the 6 equals I squared R. I is equal to 800 megawatts over 132 times 10 to the 3. 10 to the 6, all over 132, 10 to the 3. So I is 60 amps. So the resistance is 8 times 10 to the 6, all over 60 squared. .2, okay. Potential divider consists of a battery connected across a thermistor and a variable resistor. Which the following causes the potential difference across the thermistor to increase. So we want it to have a bigger proportion. So we want the temperature to go down. So no. Increasing that, no. We want this to be a bigger proportion. No, we want this to be a bigger proportion. So the total resistance, that would work. What does it mean by across the variable resistor, though? I'm probably going to get that wrong. Investigates how the potential difference across the terminals of a cell varies with the current. V equals epsilon minus IR. Battery is connected to a 10 ohm resistor and switch in series. Voltmeter is connected across a battery. I'm going to go back because when it says across, because if that EMF went down, it is true that this, as a percentage of the total, would increase. But when it says adding a resistor across the variable, that decreases the resistance there, which again increases the proportion that this is. Oh, okay. I'm gonna change my answer to the previous one. It was just bothering me. I think because this might have to do with like loss volts and how much gets out as well. Like it's yeah. battery is connected to a 10 ohm resistor and a switch. A voltmeter is connected across the battery. The switch is closed. Open the volt. So epsilon is 1.45. So V equals epsilon minus I times little r. Or more importantly, so what's the internal resistance of the battery? So the lost volts, so I times little r is the lost volts is 0.19 volts. That's how many volts are lost. Epsilon so we have two unknowns and two equations. We want to get rid of I. This does not feel like the intended solution path. Although it does work. I'm not sure it works properly, but it does get me an answer. I'm going to call time on that. Right. That was not the fastest, but it didn't suck. Let me get the mark scheme up to see, because I'm just feeling like things did not necessarily go to plan there, because my brain's not as 100% locked in as it has been in the past. So B, yep. Not spec, not spec, not spec, not spec, not spec, not spec. 12 is C. 13, not spec. 14, D. 15, C. 16, B. 17, B. 18, C. 19, B. 20, A. 21A, 22C, 23C, 24C, 25B, 26C, 27D, 28B, 29A, perfect. 30C, 31A, 32D, that was a good swap. 33A, 34D. Okay, so I did get them all right, good. All right. Right. What are you guys chatting about? What are you doing? How far back do I have to go? Yeah. Okay. Can someone just let me know? Is there anything I need to react to? I'm just going to let you, because there's too much chat now. I'm chatting about the functionality of sitting, the ESAT. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, let me go back to where you were all flaming me for having things sideways. Do I have eyes? I do have eyes. I was reacting to that, not the thing. Went to Cambridge, can't use Chrome PDF viewer. Damn straight. Quite right about that. You're right, I have been like this since last year. Technology hates me, I hate it right back. You're right that the questions are not super ESAT-y, but this is like, the reason why you do this is less to be super ESAT-y and more to just work on your speed in the abstract, which is what you can do, right? Like anytime you get to use that muscle, use the muscle. TIR on spec either. Oh, genuine question. You know how you said TMUA's later questions are not like ESAT? Are you comparing to NSAA ENGA, or like how are your students describe the actual ESAT? Because you heard that ESAT is harder. I would say it just tests a different thing. Remember that TMUA questions are designed to be done in 3 minutes, not 90 seconds. So they're not comparable in that sense anyway. And they start leaning on some very, very weird niche pure math that they would just never test on an ESAT, is what I think. Like what I meant by that. You are quite right, though, that the Math 2 has the same spec as the TMUA paper 1. People talking about the similarities between TMUA and ESAT. Talking. Talking. Apologies while I catch up. Yeah, this is all you just chatting to each other. That's fine. All right. Tell you what I might do then, because that wasn't as intended, but it's still good to use the muscle. I challenge accept. Do you know what? I want you to know that since the challenge was laid down, I have not prepped and not cheated in any way. I want to go find that 9-minute paper. Wait, hold on a minute. I'm getting. What was it? Can you remind me what the 9-minute GCSE paper was? Oh, thank you very much, sir. My interview videos. Hamiltonian's ESAT video. I'll have to look at that. Oh god, you closed it. Sorry. No, let me go back. I want to find that 9-minute thing. So, think about pen smudging. I think I saw 2019 off the top of my head. Because I want the challenge. I think you're going to win. I'm not sure my brain is super engaged. Hold on a minute. I see you said it could also have been 2019 paper 2. Oh, you said June. Hold on, but you say, okay, is it June 2020 paper 1 or is it 2019 paper 2? I need you to verify that. Oh, but which one is it though? Oh, okay. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open a paper. I'm not going to look at it. I'm going to scroll through. You tell me if it was the paper. Wait, would you even know it by sight? Would you know it by sight which one was the 9-minute one, or are you just forcing me to do both just for the entertainment? You would not write. Okay, so you're forcing me to do both. Got it. Hey, I'm here for speed work today. Hey, why not? So you're saying it was either 2020 paper 1 or 2019 paper 2. Okay, so okay. Guys, we have our official challenge. We've gone off book. Hold on, let me find these papers. So also, can we confirm, is this Edexcel GCSE or Edexcel iGCSE? Let's be very specific here. You said Edexcel. I'm assuming you mean GCSE as opposed to iGCSE. Because actually, most of the students that I have take iGCSE. Now they're different, and you got to be real certain about which one. You said normal. Okay, normal. Past paper. Right. I'm very happy to be shown up publicly by a teenager. I have no shame in that whatsoever. So you're saying 2020, June 2020 paper 1. By which you must mean November 2020 paper 1 non-calc. Higher, not foundation. Okay, so let me get that downloaded. And let me open it up to make sure it's not got any nonsense. Great, I can annotate. So it was either that one you say, or it could have been, and apologies for not showing this, but again, I just don't know what the rules are when it comes to like sharing things. 2019 paper 2, I'm going to assume you mean summer 2019 paper 2. Well, it can't have been paper 2 because paper 2 is calculator. I'm going to assume you meant the non-calculator. Wait, hold on. Are you talking about, you did the paper 2s as well? So you did the calculator paper, but you did it non-calc. Because paper 1 is non-calc. Paper 2 is calc. Was this one that you set the 9-minuter? Was that a calculator or a non-calculator? Because that would make the difference. Okay, I'm gonna start. I'm just gonna do this 2021. Okay, so let's do the non-calc because there's no discretion then. Like there's 100%. I'm gonna time it. I'm gonna get. Ooh, it's gonna. Let's find out. Okay. Ready and go. Nope. Sorry, reset and go. So adding 3. Write down expression for the nth term. That's 3n minus 2. Show this 7 over 3, 15 over 4. Cancel 5, 35 over 4, 8 3/4. 4 graphs. Minus x cubed is b, x cubed is c, then d, then therefore a. 2 of these are congruent. So that's 100, so that's 80. A and D. 10 pounds for 24 chocolate bars. He sells them for 50p each, so he makes 12 pounds. So it's 2 pounds over 10. That's 20% profit. EB is parallel to DC. Angle EBC. So yeah, work out the size of angle EAB. Work that one out. That one is 63. That one is 32. So that's 95. So that's 85. Cool. 7. Compare the distribution, the heights of girls. 1, 2. So there's 15. So we want the 8th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 168 is the median. Least height 158. Biggest. Okay, so compare the distribution. So the median is higher, so they're higher on average. The range is larger, so there's more spread out. I'm not writing that down. So prism has a height of 3, volume of the prism is that, so the area is 6. Pressure on the floor is that, so force is that times 6, which is equal to 150 times 3, which is 450, is the total force. Done. 9. Write these numbers in order of size. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the smallest. Then that one. That's 3, and that's 4. Given this, find ABC. Multiply by 15, 6 to 15 to multiply by 15, 5, 20. Okay. Find the value of this thing. So 300, an eighth. 3 to the n, all over 3 to the 2n minus 2, which is 3 to the 2 minus n. Oh, don't make me. Ugh, God, no, you did not draw a graph in that time. I refuse to believe you did that. So it's every 50. No, yes, every 55, 15, 35, 55, 70. No, I've done this wrong. No, I haven't. 80. Okay, so zoom out. Okay, so 60% of this group have a weekly wage of 300. So 60% of that is 48. Yeah. And then come down, that's 380. No, it's 380 or less. Okay. Density equals mass over volume. Volume is mass over density. So this is 20 meters cubed. This mass is, oh God, why am I, does that track? Yeah. So the density is total mass, so 8,400 plus 1,400 all over the total volume, which is 50. Cancels from there. Multiply, well, so that's 980 over 5, which is 1960 over 10 is 196. Not my fastest. Each play game, win, draw, lose. Work out the probability that she wins exactly 2 games against Martin. We'll win exactly 1. So it's either it's win and not win, or it's not win and win. Why are we talking about draws though? So it's 0.42. Okay, not going to question that. The straight line L is perpendicular to that, so it's got a gradient of minus a third. So y minus 5 equals minus a third x minus 9. 3y minus 15 equals 9 minus x. X plus 3y equals 24, and that's my answer. And I'm not going to go crazy on the y equals. I spent another beehives. These bees, just put some mark on each bee and turns into a hive. 20 have been marked. Okay, so 1/6 of the bees were marked, and 1/6 equals 90, so it's 540 total. Surely assumes that none of the marks have been rubbed off. If the answer is wrong, explain what effect this would have. So the probability would be smaller, so you'd estimate would be too big. Okay. Too far. Make F the subject. df minus 4d equals 3 minus 3f. F into d plus 3 equals 3 plus 4d. F is equal to 3 plus 4d all over 3 plus d. Y is increased by 44%. So y, it becomes 1.44. So x is 1.2, 20% increase done. Find g of 5, 1133. Find f of 9 is 4. Put that in 27. I think that was in 27. Yep, so invert is g of 6. 6 to 4. Okay. Show that this can be, okay, so root 180, I'm seeing, what am I seeing? I'm obviously seeing 9. And then I can take another 4 out. So that becomes 4 root 5 on the top. All of 5 into root 5 minus 1. So I can root 5 plus 1, top and bottom. So it's 20 plus 4 root 5 all over 20 equals 1 plus root 5 over 5. Come on, right. Triangle midpoint, use the vector method to prove that PQ is parallel to FE. So FD is A. That's midpoints. That's half A. That's a half A. FE is B. PQ equals minus a half A plus B plus a half of minus B plus A equals a half B. So it's a half of FE, therefore parallel. Okay. This thingy. Shape A is formed by removing a sector of a circle with radius that from a sector with radius that. Shape B is a circle of diameter that. This area, this, okay. So 45 degrees, that's an eighth. So an eighth of pi r squared minus an eighth pi r squared is A, and that equals to pi r squared. Cancel the pi's. Multiply by 8. 25x minus squared minus 10x plus 1 minus 9x squared plus 6x minus 1 equals 8x squared minus 16x plus 8. Minus 17, so 8x squared minus 4 plus 6 plus 12x. Cancels, minus 8 equals 0. 2x squared plus 3x minus 2 equals 0. 2x, x plus 2 minus 1, x equals a half, x equals minus 2. Can't be negative, x equals a half. 4 types of cards, number of cards with a black shape to number of white shape. Express the total number of cards with a black shape as a function of the total number of cards with a triangle. So the number of cards with a white shape is 5/3 the number with a black shape. The number of cards with a circle, so that's 1 to 7 over 2. So the triangle is 7 over 2 times a circle. Express the total number of cards with a black shape as a fraction of the total number of cards with a triangle. Well, they have to have the same parts. So that's 8 and that's 9. So let's make them 72. So it's 27 to 45, and that's 16 to 56. So work out the total number of cards with a black shape. So out of the total number of cards with the triangle, so if there were 72, out of these 56, oh, I got it. So number of cards with the triangle, so 7/9 of the cards, so 7/9 of the shapes are triangles. So 7/9 of these black shapes And the black shapes are 3/8 of the total. So it's 7/9 of the black shapes. So these are the black triangles. Out of the triangles. Guys, I'm getting this wrong. Skip. No, this is the end. God damn it. Oh, I'm on that. Guys, I'm already on 14.5 minutes. You got me well truly beat here. Why am I struggling on this question so much? This would be a really good ESAT question, guys. So 3/8 are black. 7/9 are triangles. Is it just 3? I'm missing something here. You're right. I'm going to stop the clock there at around 15 minutes. Something went wrong. I don't know. Sir, this is rough. Sir, you're doing great. No, I'm not. I don't know why I struggle with that one so much. Because it can't be 3/8. Can it? God, clearly, like, what? Listen, not all of us are built to do GCSE math. You know? Some of us just don't have it. And you know what? I'm at peace with that. Hold on. What was that? That was... but I was doing well up until that point. Realistically, because this is training for ESAT, that would be the point at which you would bail. You would turn that into a second pass question. I was clearly I could have got that slowly, but I was not going to get that at speed. Right, let me go through and mark this up. So what are you looking at? Yeah. I don't know how you did this in 9 minutes. You're right. I'm not passing my ESAT. I don't need to. Yeah, the ESAT does have ratio questions. I should not have got that wrong. That actually was a really decent challenge in the time. So I swear I just dragged this mark scheme across. Guys, where did I put it? Oh, here. Okay, cool. So let me just check it quickly. So 3n minus 2, I got that right. B, C, D, A and D. 20, 85. I don't really care, it's words. 450. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. 300. I was pleased with how quickly this went. Graph drawn. Yeah, 380. It should have been good. 196. Bam. 0.42. Yep. Could not be bothered to rewrite that the way they wanted, but I got the same thing. I got equivalent. 540. It would be an overestimate. I don't really care. Yep. Same. 20%. I was so pleased with how quickly I did that, by the way. Yeah, that proportionality, like that was beast mode. Okay, so I was also pleased with how quickly I did this. This felt good. So 27. Oh, I got that wrong. Oops, it was a quarter. Oh, because I didn't invert it. All right, this was me doing mental math. Like this is the thing. You make mistakes. You make execution errors at speed that you wouldn't make going slowly. So let's do that slowly. So inverse G of 6. Sorry. So 6 equals right. No. Oh no. Huh. Because I did it on F, not G. I'm being immortal. Guys, I didn't read the question properly. It's inverse G of 6. So 6 should have equaled 6x plus 3. Yeah. X equals a half. God damn it. Right. Did I get this right? I did. So this. Yeah. A half. Good. Is it just 3? No, it's 27 out of 56. Oh, and I was right there, guys. 27. Oh, I just didn't understand what the question meant. So you scale them up so they have the same number of parts. It's 27 out of 56. I think I was doing conditional probability, which was an A-level skill. I don't know what I was doing in this. I'd done all the work. I just didn't understand it. All right. Well, I guess that's the lesson. Hold on a minute. Let me catch up with what chat's doing. Chat, did you say anything I need to respond to? Because there's officially too much of you. I can't catch up. I'm literally seeing an explicit Ask Patrick, so it seems like maybe there was. God damn, you guys have been chatting. See, this is why I need mods. Well, no, not really. I'm doing like once a week, but okay, yeah, you've been chatting. Okay, if you have something you want me to say, now is the point to say it. I can't catch up with that. Nothing missed. Cool. Made you feel better than implicitly clowned on you. Got it. That's fair, and I deserve that. But now you got me curious. You got me curious about this 2020 paper now. Wait, someone had a Cambridge question. Let me find it. Okay, the problem is, if I start doing another paper now, oh, which college should I go to? St. Cat's. So it's the itty bitty one right next to King's on the left as you look at it. Oh, wasn't that one. But like, yeah, so basically like look at how I did that speed run. And I think also the analysis where like there were some bits where I made some really good gains. It's probably gone anyway. No, I saw an explicit Ask Patrick. So if I saw that, I should be able to find it again. Yes. I don't know if I should write something about NatSki in the MyCam application. Yeah, I would. So the MyCam application, back in my day, that's the supplemental questionnaire, and I'm assuming you're talking about the same thing. So I think it's because when you're doing a personal statement, especially when you're applying for natural sciences, very few of the universities actually do natural sciences. So you kind of have to tailor your personal statement to be a bit sort of broader. But the supplemental stuff is where you get to really zero in on NatSki, where you get to be very specific about, you know, the chemistry and the physics and the material science, the getting to learn new things, the getting to do it all. That kind of thing is where you can really make a specific pitch. I don't honestly think it makes much of a difference, but it's good for you to know you've done everything in the process. That's true. If there is a question you want answered, you can comment it afterwards and it will be permanent. And you can also ask me in the Discord server. I think this was you though. And I think that answered the question. So guys, do you want me to speedrun a calculator paper? Wait, no, that was non-calc. Hold on a minute. Let me do the calculator. No, that's foundation. You see, that's what I'm calling. Do you bet? What if you secretly did that non-calculated paper, but you actually did the foundation paper instead, and that's why you did it in 9 minutes. Oh, good idea. Solomon paper. Now, Solomon papers, that's very back in my day. So the Solomon papers are from when we used to do modular stuff. So for my A-level math, across A-level further math, I think I ended up sitting 12 exams in total. So you sat 6 for normal math and you sat 6 for further math. And you used to do them in the January sitting and the summer sitting. So it used to be very, very different. So Solomon papers. And I'm presuming you mean C1. Yeah, the C1 Solomon papers. Maybe also the C2. But Excel, let's do the Excel. I'll just do a question paper. Mark scheme, again, I'm gonna, just because timing, I'm gonna speed run it just because I want to get it over with. But I'm also just in the mood to go quickly. You know when you're just feeling like a speed demon, you just want to go. So I need to cook dinner. So the way this works, this would have been an AS paper. You would have sat this in year 12. C1, you might have sat this in year 12. You would have sat this in the summer. So you would have sat C2. So in the summer of year 12, I sat 5 papers. In the January of year 12, I think I sat 3, and in the summer I might have sat 4. That brings me to 12? Something like that. Okay, people are chatting. I'm seeing a bunch of numbers in the chat. What's happening? 12 is weak sauce. Okay, so let me show you what a Solomon paper looks like and how you can use these in your prep. Again, let's time this. And then I'll have to head off. So, there's not really a, all right, so I'm gonna zoom in. So that is 3 root 7. That is a half. So the sum from 10, so the first term is 27. The last term is 67. There are 21 terms. So the sum is n over 2 first plus last. So that's 94. Let's do the average of those two, which would be 47 times 21, which I really can't be bothered to do, but whatever. 987. Okay. Differentiate with respect to x. This is actually, oh no, this is spec. So it's 3x to the 3 over 2 minus a half x to the minus a half. We differentiate that, you get 9 over 2x to the half plus a quarter x to the minus 3 over 2. Solve this inequality, x squared plus 3x minus 10, which is x plus 5, x minus 2, and that will cross at minus 5 and 2. We want it bigger than 0, so x is less than minus 5, x is bigger than 2. Do both inequalities. Well, this guy is going to be 2x being less than 5, x is less than 5 over 2. So we want these done at the same time. So in other words, x is less than minus 5, or x is between 2 and 2.5. Recurrence relationship, given that u1 is equal to k, u2 is k squared minus 1, u3 is k4 minus 2k squared plus 1 minus 1. Given also that these things minus 3k squared minus 1, so you add those together, no, just one of those, equals 11. Subtract that, minus 12 equals 0. So k squared minus 4, k squared plus 3 is 0. So k squared is 4, so k is plus minus 2. And this has no solutions. By completing the square, don't mind if I do, x plus k over 4 squared minus 16k squared minus k. Find in terms of constant k the roots. So x equals minus 4k plus or minus the square root of 16k squared plus k. Okay, hence find the set of values for k for which this has no real roots. That's when 16k squared plus k is less than 0, which crosses at k is 0, and k is minus a 16th, and has no real roots in between that, so that's when minus a k is in between those two. Describe fully a single transformation that maps y equals 1 over x into that. Stretch in y, scale factor 3. Sketch the graph and write down any asymptotes. Don't forget your axes. Asymptotes at x equals 0, y equals 0. Find the values of the constant c for which this straight line is tangent. Right, so y is 3x to the minus 1. You differentiate that, you get minus 3x to the minus 2, and that gradient is equal to minus 3, which means that x to the minus 2 is equal to 1, so x is equal to plus minus 1. Y is therefore equal to plus minus 3. So when this goes through So C is equal to 3x plus y. So C is equal to 6 or minus 6. Here, the points P and Q have those coordinates. Find an equation for the straight line passing through them. So as it goes across 2, it goes up 3. That's the gradient. So y minus 4 is 3 over 2 into x minus 7. 2y minus 8 is 3x minus 21. 3x minus 2y minus 13 equals 0. So the straight line M has gradient 8 and passes through the origin. Write down an equation is equal to 8x. These two lines intersect at the point R. So 3 minus 16x minus 13 equals 0. So minus 13x minus 13 equals 0. X equals minus 1. Therefore, y is equal to minus 8 at the point of intersection. That is R. So OP is the root of 7 squared plus 4 squared, is the root of 49 plus 16, is the root of 65. And then OR is the root of minus 1 squared plus minus 8 squared, which is the root of 1 plus 64, which is the root of 65. So therefore, those are the two same lengths. Question 9. Given this derivative, find an expression for y in terms of x. We need to integrate. So we get 6x minus 2x squared minus x cubed plus c, but c is 0. Great. Show that AB is k root 7. So that is equal to x into minus x squared minus 2x plus 6 is x into, well, actually, I'll take out a minus x. Plus minus. Oh, no. So let's get these roots then. So x is equal to minus b plus or minus square root b squared plus 4ac all over 2a. So it's minus 2 plus or minus root of 28. So 2 root 7 over 2. So it's minus 1 plus or minus root 7. So the difference between them is going to be 2 root 7. A curve has equation this. Point P on the curve has coordinate x equals 1. Show that the gradient is that. So again, we're going to differentiate. You're going to get 1 minus 3 over x squared. And when x is equal to 1, the gradient is 1 minus 3 is minus 2. Find an equation for the normal to the curve at P. So therefore, the gradient is going to be a half. X coordinate's 1. Y coordinate is therefore equal to 4. So y minus 4 is equal to a half x minus 1 is equal to a half x minus a half. Y is equal to a half x plus 7 over 2. In that form, find the coordinates of the point where that normal to the curve at P intersects the curve again. Right, so that means that x plus 3 over x equals a half x plus 7 over 2. So a half x plus 3 over x minus 7 over 2 equals 0. So x plus 6 over x minus 7 equals 0. So x squared minus 7x plus 6 equals 0, which is x minus 1, x minus 6. So it meets at x equals 1 or x equals 6, which means 3, which means y is equal to 13 over 2. And those are the coordinates, and that's time. Boom! 8.5 minutes! Do not show all this working. You misunderstand me, sir. I show all this working to make sure I don't make execution errors. Because if I skip steps, then also, yeah, just to prove it. Boom. So that's how you can use Solomon papers. You can see that wasn't that challenging in the grand scheme of things. So that the theoretical time was 90 minutes. So boom, less than 10% time. You say that like in the ESAT, but this is what you mean. Look, I was able to do that in 9 minutes, writing down as much as I did because I practiced how to do that. So this is why you do the speed work on anything you can get your hands on, is because it practices you working at that speed. Because oftentimes let's go through this. There's a sweet spot, right? Like in theory, yes, if you can do it all mentally, you're not taking the time to write things down. That is saving you time. However, if you're doing things in your head, you can get confused, have to stop, restart, or you can muddle steps and therefore make an execution error. So there's like a cost, right? So what does put the fries in the bag mean? I don't speak internet. Hold on a minute. Did I miss anything in the chat? Aim for 10 minutes. Boom! Nailed it. So yeah. No, but seriously, what does put the fries in the bag mean? I don't know. I'm feeling left out and excluded. Hold on a minute. So let me get the mark scheme. Let's see how many silly mistakes I made at speed, and that will inform. Oh, it means I'm good. Boom. Thank you. Right. So that's right. That's what we're all here for, is to stroke my ego. Let's get this shared. So marking guide. So let me see. 3 root 7, a half, 987. Perfect. Yes. X is less than 5. X is bigger than 2. Yep. X is less than 5. Yep. Perfect. K is plus minus 2. Yep. No, I made a mistake. Oh, I'm such an idiot. No. Make it stop. Guys, this is what I am saying. I know how to complete the square. Why did I not divide by 2? But the guys, I know I'm better than no. But this is what I mean. It's because I was going quickly. I saw that and I forgot to divide by 2. That is such a basic error. I'm so annoyed at that. All right, that hurt. That would have been right though. That really would have been right. Like that was, god damn it. So stretch in the y direction for scale factor 3. That's the sketch. The thingy. C equals plus minus 6. Good. 3x minus 2 minus 13 is 0. Y equals 8x. And they're both equal to root 65. I'm proud of how I was able. You say that. Look at this. I did this all mentally. I got 5 marks writing one line. So there we go. You see, I don't write down everything. So we got that. Difference is 2 root 7. Guys, I would have got full marks. No. I actually really would have got full marks at 8.5 minutes. I didn't make sure my handwriting is nice. This handwriting is awful. Guys, oh, that burns. I nearly got 100% in 8.5 minutes because I made a stupid... Forgot to divide by 2. No. Oh, I was so close to being so good. Guy, and it's this attitude that made me get really good at exams. But like, god damn it, that was nearly so impressive. Can you try something and give feedback on it? So when you say try something, depends on the thing. Oh, I am my biggest hater. Don't worry. I don't need to listen to them. I've got me. No, he's not hating. He's joshing. Can I try something and give feedback on it? Try Thea? What is that? The THEA. Is that a paper? Try that. Try what? MB, I'm confused. I'm confused. Try what? I officially no longer know what was happening. But yeah, so I think I wanted to do some speed work. I did some speed work. So how did this feel? It just felt good. To be honest, it was going well. I knew what I was doing. I just went through the steps. I made one execution error. But that's the thing, right? It's I will remember the fact that I made that mistake. So now, the next time I see completing the square, I'm going to remember that I did that recently and be like, I'm not forgetting it this time. So close, guys. 8.5 minutes. 8.5 minutes. Nearly got a perfect run in 8.5 minutes. But that's what I mean. But also, you say that I did write everything down on the paper, but that's exactly how I would have done it in the real thing. I didn't write anything that I wouldn't have written in an ESAT. I would have written all of those and not skipped any of it just to make sure I stayed accurate. So that's what I wanted to demo. Keep going, keep working hard, keep building up speed, get that fluent. True that you don't have to sort of find the right answer in the options. But yeah, so that's what I recommend. So I am going to leave you with that. Keep working hard, keep building your speed, and good luck for back to school next week. So it's going to hit you. It's going to start getting really busy really quickly because you're learning all your year 13 content while possibly staying on top of your year 12 content to do new mocks to get good prediction grades while still doing your personal statement and researching unis and getting your UCAS in. And you can't drop any balls because then you got to stay on top of that to then get ready for interviews, which happen at the end of the term. So you're going to really earn your Christmas. The next 3 months are going to be some of the most impactful of your entire lives. No pressure, all fun. Here to support. I will keep working with you guys. We'll get you to the other side. You manage. Everyone manages it all the time. You just get it done. This is what I mean about a no regret strategy. You put in exactly as much work as you can sustain while staying sane, and then you accept what comes back as a result of that work. So in the meantime, keep working hard, keep getting in the Discord server, post your best times. Let's keep this active, and let's make sure people are sort of staying on the top of their game as we move through the season. I'm going to run because I need to eat. Calories are good for you. And I will see you all next week. Thank you for being so active in the chat. I love having an active chat like this. It makes it really fun. So yeah, I'll make sure to maybe we'll keep doing some speed work. Maybe I'll just keep doing some Solomon papers like that. But right, I'll see you guys next week. Have a good one. See you around. Bye.